quick we wanted to talk about, because we're just about done working with our seniors, so we thought we'd give you some tips for those who have juniors this year and where you should
Hmm.
be in the process, because we're going to start working with our juniors November 1st. So, what would be your biggest advice for parents and juniors right now?
A year from now, your students should be mostly done, if not entirely done, with acceptances in hand. A
Whoa, with
year.
the
A
yeah.
year.
So, it's October 25th.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, you have a year starting right now. Use that year wisely,
Hmm. Yeah,
and
that's
then
my
you won't be
number one.
stressed. Yeah.
What's your number one?
Um, don't worry. So this probably is not the most important thing, but it's been really driving me nuts lately. You do
Mhm.
not need to go visit a billion colleges before you make up a balanced college list. It's too time consuming, and you can do that easily through research at home and spend that time on like getting the students activity list together, getting the students transcript together, letting the
Mhm.
student work on their coursework, let them do a senior passion project or something. But visiting 20 different colleges all over the country, no.
I mean, the funny part is, I think that, some of this is the pandemic, but like a couple of years ago, it was the other way. We were like, look, just go to some local campuses so you know what it feels like to be on a campus. Like it was,
Yeah.
so
But that's
there
good
is a happy
advice,
medium.
actually.
It is. Yeah, no, no, no. There's a happy medium there where you maybe take one little road trip at some point or maybe even build it in over time already. But like if you're at this point, you've got a junior, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's my number one.
I think now is the time to have a testing plan, like whether that plan is
Hmm.
we're not we took a practice test and it turns out my kid is terrible at tests, like really terrible, and we're not going to take them. Or like whether it's like, okay, my kid is amazing, but they wouldn't let us take the PSAT, and so we're signed up for like the November date, like for the, you want to, or
Hmm.
like my kid's not going to be ready because they're only doing algebra 2 this year, so we're going to do it in the summer. Like go ahead and get that testing plan down if it's not already. Get signed up for like when you're going to do it. Give yourself space so that they're not like taking their first SAT in like late fall of senior year. Like that's just really late.
Definitely don't do that. Definitely don't do that. Also, midway through junior year, students should be lining up or thinking about at least who they're going to ask for those important letters of recommendation. You want them from junior year, and students should have an academic one.
And it,
So
it if for
remind them.
Yeah, and if for some reason like you think, wait, what? How is my student going to get that? Then in this right now for spring, sign up for a live class where they can talk to a person, preferably one who has a record of providing letters for homeschoolers, and then tell them it's their entire job in that class to ingratiate themselves and show off in every
With
possible
the
way because they need
Yeah,
it. They need it.
they
Yeah.
absolutely need it. And I write letters of rec, and you do
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
It's not
for
like
my
we're
academic
asking for a
students.
ton of students. We just want them to like participate and do their work and maybe chat and stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a lot of providers who have spring courses, and
Mhm.
there's OutSchool. Moth is coming out with
Mhm.
all their spring courses soon, and they're like half credits, and you can sign up for something really easy. AIM has some, right? I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
AIM has some. Yeah, I've got two classes taking students in the spring, but there's a lot. There's a bunch of mini
Yeah,
classes and
there's
semester
ton. So
classes and
just think about
yeah.
that. Yeah. Any other
Okay.
advice?
I think that like at this point, this is the college search time. Like this is when you start doing that. I think my advice for junior year is like don't mess around like with don't keep going back to things over and over and over again.
Oh, a hundred
Finish
percent.
something, move to the
Move
next thing.
on.
Yeah, because it's like a big, huge project where all the parts are due at once. And so it feels far off. Like, okay, a whole year, like we got tons of time once involved in this. It's just not that, it's not rocket science. But all those pieces individually, yeah, sure. Like if your kid had to, they probably could, write a bunch of supplementals in 1 week if they're not applying to a crazy number of schools. Like, you probably could get that transcript together in a week. You probably could get that like the course descriptions together in a week. You probably could, like, if you really had to. But can you do all of the things, build the list and get the letters of rec and like do any interviews and show demonstrated interest and write the personal statement and the activity list and in a week? Like, because you can't do that. And so
I'm
it will,
overwhelmed listening to you.
I know, but do it well ahead of time and then
Uh, yeah,
move on to the next task. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I would also say too, because we're kind of saying you and talking to parents and talking to
Mm.
students, like let the teens do their thing. You can make sure, you can kind of like check in, but don't get involved. Like don't keep asking them to read their essays and then don't like give them feedback on their essays if you don't think it's right and then send it to other people to do the essays and everything. Because I think parents sometimes get in the way of this process. Like a student may be done with their essay, but then they're not done because it gets shared like with 5 different people and there's all this feedback and then they have to incorporate it and no one is happy. And then at the end of it, it doesn't even look like the original essay. And a lot of adults do not know what colleges are specifically looking for in an essay. So let your
Including
student do that.
professional editors and writers
Yeah.
sometimes don't really
Yeah.
understand what it needs to do. Yeah.
Let your
And
student create their activity list. Don't try to curate that for them. See what they come up with first. Let your student work to try to get these letters of rec on their own. I mean, you can remind them and tell them what they have to do, and absolutely sign them up for a class if they haven't had the opportunity. But then, let them take the lead, because next year at this time they'll be applying to college, and with 6 months later, they'll be deciding where to go, and then less than 2 years, they will be on their own as adults living their own lives, and you need to step back a little bit. Also, you have a lot to do as a homeschool parent. It's stressful. You don't want to take on both sides. Like you
you know
just don't
what
need that.
that is the thing. Like, so a year from now, your student should be hopefully like 90+% done with the entire process and possibly completely done, even
Yeah.
picking a college. 2 years from now, it is Parents Weekend, and you will be there to like, no
It
joke.
is
I mean, it
parents
really
weekend,
is.
like right
It
now.
is
Yeah.
Parents Weekend right now for a lot of
Yeah.
colleges. So, yeah. Mhm.
So that
Think about that whole
you
timetable.
start planning for yourself, and especially if this is your last student at home or your only student, you're going to have your own life. Start obsessing over that.
Well, and if, it's all the more reason to not make the process more stressful than it has to be, to,
Yeah.
give gentle and
Enjoy.
supportive reminders, but not get in the way of it, to, make sure that things are, have a plan that's like sort of laid out so that you don't end up frazzled at the end. And so you can enjoy your kids' last year at home, and appreciate them. This is like the age where some of them go from being like a little difficult to get along with to being like a little bit better.
Oh,
That's why they're leaving.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you
You're
know,
like, oh, wow, this is an awesome adult.
yeah. And then,
And
they're
then they
gone.
go. You
Yeah.
did your job. Hey, I have one last piece of advice because we forgot about it. But parents, do run net price calculators at all these schools before you let your kid put something on a list, and make sure it's a real option. That's
Hmm.
very important. And get
Yeah.
your head around the numbers and what different schools will cost and what exactly you can afford.
And don't assume, please run the
Run
calculator
the
on
numbers. Yeah.
the website with
On the
numbers.
college's site, on the
Yes.
college's website with the net
Yes.
price calculator that they have. Yeah.
I think, and don't pin your hopes on outside scholarships. It's not,
Oh,
they're not.
absolutely don't. Yeah. Yeah. All
Okay.
right. That's our advice.
Awesome. Okay.
We could probably give a bunch more, but that's good.
No, no, no. We're trying to be brief this time. For once.